Greetings, distinguished professors, colleagues, and audience. I'm Chen Shenquan from UPM, and my supervisor is Dr. Su Haida. It's my great honor to share my work on this platform. My title is Mediating Role of Organizational Culture in the Relationship Between Transformational Leadership and Lectures Organizational Commitment at Universities in Hebei, China. China's higher education has entered a period of intense competition, shaped by national strategies such as the Double First Class Initiative and China Education Modernization 2035. These policies seek global competitiveness through stronger universities, high-end disciplines, and better human capital. Hebei's ecosystem is expanding in scale, but structurally constrained. There is no university physically located within Hebei province that holds double first class status. Neighboring Beijing and Tianjin, however, host many such universities, which intensifies the regional competition for high platforming faculty and students. In this context, the pressure to attract, develop, and retain academic talent is especially pronounced. My study focused on three constructs. First, Dean's transformational leadership. Leaders who build shared vision, set high expectations, model desired behavior, offer individualized support, and provide intellectual stimulation. Second, organizational culture, the shared value and norms that shape how a university actually works day to day, captured here with the competing value framework, clan, hierarchy, and market. Third, lectures organizational commitment, effective, continuous, and normative bonds that keeps academics engaged and retained. The argument is simple. Leadership does not act in a vacuum. It works through culture. A dean's transformational practice helps shape a supportive culture, and that culture, in turn, strengthens lecturers' commitment. Although its linkage is well serious, it retains under-examined in less developed region of China, especially Hebei. That is the gap this research addresses. This slide summarizes the problem and the research aim. First, the problem. In under-resourced ecosystem, universities without double first-class status struggle to attract and retain high-level faculty. Empirical accounts point to uneven culture building and persistent weakness in governance and support structures. While leadership is known to matter for staff attitudes, we still lack context-specific evidence from Hebei that connects leadership, culture, and commitment in a single explanatory model. The aim of this study, therefore, is to test whether organizational culture mediates the effect of Dean's transformational leadership on lecturers' organizational commitment in public universities across Hebei province. For this aim flow 5 objectives and 5 aligned questions. Describe the current level of transformational leadership, organizational culture, and lecturers' commitment in Hebei University. Test the relationship between the dean's transformational leadership and lecturers' organizational commitment. Test the relationship between leadership and culture. Test the relationship between culture and commitment. Finally, determine whether organizational culture mediates the leadership commitment relationship. Together, these objectives optionalize the gap and provide a concurrent path to examine not only whether leadership matters, but how it matters, namely through the cultural environment experienced by lecturers. This slide crystallized the hypothesis, significance, and scope. We expect a positive association between Dean's transformational leadership and lecturers' organizational commitment, between leadership and organizational culture, and between culture and commitment. Crucially, we test whether organizational culture mediates the leadership commitment link. Like example, leadership shaped shared norms and values, and those cultural focus help translate leadership into stronger, effective, normative, and in some cases, continuous commitment. For the significant, theoretically, the study integrates transformational leadership and the competing value framework in a context, Hebei, that is rarely foregrounded in international scholarship. It provides not only direct effects, but the indirect pathways through culture, adding precision to how leadership works in universities. Practically, the results can inform dean development, prioritizing shared vision, individualized support, and intellectual stimulation, alongside intentional culture building and foster collaborating and innovation. These are actionable levers for improving lecture engagement, retention, and institutional effectiveness. For scope and limitation, the scope is on public university in Hebei province. The constructs are measured with well-validated instruments, the TLQ for leadership, the OCAF for organizational culture, and the three-component commitment skills. As with many survey-based studies, convenience, sampling, and self-reported data introduced generalizability and social desirability concerns. Anonymity and validate measure are used to mitigate these risks. These boundaries clarify how the findings should be interpreted and guide future works to extend the evidence base. Three element structures in this chapter. What we know, where scholars disagree, and how the pieces fit for this study. First, the organizational commitment. The dominant framework is Meyer and Allen's three-component model, which distinguished effective, continuous, and normative commitment. Effective captures emotional attachment, continuous reflects perceived cost of living, normative reflects a felt obligation to stay. Previous works links commitment to lower turnover and to organizational effectiveness, but it is also culturally embedded. In Western sample, effective commitment often predict performance most strongly, whereas in most collectivist context, obligation-based normative commitment can be equally for more salient. This differences matter in Chinese higher education and motivate our context-sensitive approach. Second, transformational leadership, adapting Liswood and Gen Z TLQ to deans. The literature often operationalized 8 behaviors. Mm, these behaviors are repeatedly also associated with stronger staff attitudes and improvement capital um, capacity in universities. 3 elements structure this chapter: what we know, where scholars disagree, and how the pieces fit for this study. First, the organizational commitment. The dominant framework is an Allen's 3-component model, which distinguishes affective, continuous, and normative commitment. Affective capture emotional attachments. Continuous reflects perceived cost of living. Normative reflects felt obligation to stay. Prior work links commitment to lower turnover and to organizational effectiveness, but it is also culturally embedded. In Western samples, effective commitment often predicts performance most strongly, whereas in most collective contexts, obligation-based normative commitment can be equally or more salient. This differences matters in Chinese higher education and motivate our context-sensitive approach. Second, transformational leadership. Adapting Liswood and Gen Z's TLQ to deans, the literature optionalization 8 behaviors, developing a shared vision, building goal consensus, and so on. These behaviors are rapidly associated with stronger staff attitudes and improvement capacity in universities. Third, organizational culture, using Kernel and Queen's OCAI within the competing value framework. Culture is profiled along 4 archetypes: clan, ad hoc, hierarchy, and market. The instrument allocates points across descriptions within 6 dimensions to reveal dominant and secondary cultural patterns at the institution level. Where do scholars disagree? 2 areas stand out. One is conceptual overlap. Commitment sometimes blurs with job satisfaction and organizational identification, creating measurement challenges. The other is cross-cultural variation in which component of commitment matters most, with mixed evidence on the dominance of affective versus normative commitment. Bringing this together, the chapter advanced mechanism. Dean's transformational leadership shapes shared values, norms, and routines. That is organizational culture, and that cultural context in turn strengthen lectures organizational commitment. In short, culture is the conduit through which leadership translates into commitment. The gap is the integrated test of this mediated model remain limited in less studied province such as Hebei, which is precisely what the present study addresses. This slide outlines the methodological backbone. For design, A cross-sectional explanatory correlational design is used to estimate both direct and indirect association among leadership culture and commitment, implemented via structural equation modeling. For population, the setting in Hebei public universities, the unit of analysis is full-time lectures within D-led faculties. This keeps the leadership referent aligned with the respondents' daily work context. For sampling and size, multi-stage sampling approach produced approximately 484 valid response after screening. Ample for SEM-based mediation analysis and both common rules of some measures. This transformational leadership is assessed with TLQ. Organizational culture is profiled with OCAI under the competing value framework. And the organizational commitment used the three-component modeling. For selling and quality, items are rated on a 5-point Likert scale. Translation back, translation expert judgment, and parallel study were used to optimize clarity, cultural equivalation, and reliability. For this slide, I explain first on ethics. We obtain all required institutional approvals. Every respondent gave informed consent. Participation was voluntary, and we protected anonymity and confidentiality. Next, we checked that our measures are solid. We screened the atoms using corrected atom total correlations above 0.5. Internal consistency met standards. Cronbach's alpha and composite reliability was at above 0.7. For validity, AVE was at least 0.5 for convergence validity, and discriminate validity held using the Fornell-Lacker rule and HTMT and their conservation cutoffs. To reduce common method bias, we used the network wording separated constructs in the survey and assured confidentiality. We also tested for bias. The single factor solution explained under 50% of the variance, and all VFs were below 3.3. Our analysis plan was straightforward: confirmatory factor analysis to validate the measurement model, then structural equation modeling to test the paths. We judged the fit against the typical benchmarks, CFS and TLI around 0.95 or higher. Ramps at the below 0.06 and SMI at or below 0.08. For mediation, we estimate indirect effects with 5,000 bootstrap resamples and bias corrected and accurate confidence interval. We expected and later found particle mediation. Finally, a note on limit. The data are cross-sectional and from a single source, so we avoid casual claims. generalizability is mainly to public university in Hebei. This limits points to future longitudinal and multi-source studies. First, the sample, we analyzed 484 valid response. The gender split is balanced about 47% male and 53% male. Age and broad, but mainly in the 30 to 40 group. In terms of qualifications, about 62% hold a master's degree and about 29% hold a PhD. Second, descriptives and correlations, Dean's transformational leadership, organizational culture, and lectures organizational commitment show positive association, which align with the theory. Third, model fit. The structural model fits well. Key indices are strong. F9 0.951, I5 0.977, TLI 0.972, CFI 0.977, and IMSA around 0.041. This meet to or exceed common benchmarks. Fourth, mediation. Use bootstrap BCE interviews and the indirect effect from leadership to commitment through culture is significant. About 0.064 with a 95% confidence interval from 0.029 to 0.106. The total effect is about 0.434. And the direct effect remain about 0.370. About adding culture, that pattern in this particular mediation. Bottom line, transformational leadership by deans and constructive culture both lift the organizational commitment, and the culture explains part of how leadership makes a difference. Key findings. Deans are transformational leadership and organizational culture both positively predict lectures organizational commitment. Culture is a significant conduit between leadership and commitment, supporting particular mediation. Leadership matters directly through modeling expectations and support, and indirectly by shaping shared values and routines. Theoretical contribution is integrating the TLQ, OCAI, and the TCM clarifies how leadership works through culture in Chinese higher education, especially in Hebei. Culture is not just a background; it's an actionable mechanism, especially via clan and attack-free attributes that promote collaboration, learning, and innovation, while hierarchy and market logics still support quality assurance and performance. For practical implications, prioritized Dean's development in shared variance in the electrolyzed support and intellectual stimulation, build culture intentionally, cross-unit projects, peer monitoring, and recognition that rewards collaboration and experimentation. Align HR and governance with these levers: fire workload, transparent promotion, and cultural-aligned onboarding to strengthen effective and normative commitment and reduce turnover intentions. For policy implications, invest in leadership pipelines and coaching for deans, run periodic CVF-based cultural audits to surface strengths and blind spots. Launch targeted retention initiatives, early career monitoring, research seed funds, or teaching innovation grants aligned with the desired culture. For limitations, cross-sectional single-source data limited casual inference and may introduce self-report bias. The Hebei focus bounds generalizability while addressing an understudy context. For the future research, use longitudinal and multi-source designs, compare premiums and tiers, test moderators such as rank, discipline, or contractor type. Overall, pursue a dual strategy, develop transformational leadership, and cultivate constructive culture to sustain higher commitment and institutional effectiveness. That's all my speech. That's all. Thank you for your listening.